Welcome everyone to another IT security news and bugs and features update. This week, starting with Android, we certainly had enough of macOS and Windows and antivirus stuff the other weeks. So Strandhogg 2 is here, 2.0. So security researchers found a new, very fishy phishing attack here. Exploits users trust. The super happy fun game, once installed, could steal the focus from unrelated apps. And reminder that security issues do not always need to be memory safety, as per just the other live stream, but real logic bugs and other, all the security sandbox stuff, super secure until proven otherwise. Also, 10 years, iOS and Android and this stuff is still having such security issues, really the best of the industry. And anyway, you get the idea. Norwegian infosec firm discovered a new Android vulnerability, which they dubbed Strandhogg 2.0. Security firm Promon says is an old Norse strategy for coastline raids and abductions. Today's vulnerability is an evil twin for a similar one discovered in 2019. The original Strandhogg used Android feature called task affinity with hijack applications by setting in task affinity, and they now fear some new, doesn't require any special settings in a package Android manifest, meaning an attacking code doesn't need to be present on the Play Store to be scanned at all. Instead, the attacker can download the attack code later once the Trojan app or game is already installed on a user's device. And apparently it works by presenting here some UI, and where was this written here? Like, hey, how do you feel about the security of your data? Very concerned. How can we? There, you have it. Anyway, but so not only iOS and stuff, which by the way remind me, there's a total iOS jailbreak out there, some uncover, whatever, so many security vulnerabilities that I already didn't even include it here. So much to some live improv of download. Here's this CDR application there for that, although it doesn't load now because certainly ever. But works for most advanced jailbreak tool ever. And as usual in 2020, I was on the site already, didn't try it out, but 2020 fancy jailbreak tools need to have dark mode support and fancy animation, reactive blending stuff here because 2020. But so much to Apple iOS super top-notch secure. Apparently not right with all the last years of weekly security shoutouts here. Even XML parser vulnerabilities of last week's shoutout, but we had this already last year or so, pure web-based jailbreaking, now supporting all devices on, well, actually I think the news is slightly wrong. Some news outlets broadcast this here as all iOS devices, which probably maybe not be true, because not all iOS devices of those longer here in the IT universe might remember the first generation iPhone. So certainly not all, as in probably maybe only all right now supported, and with a somewhat recent iOS update from Apple. Anyway, all those old devices are jailbroken by now anyway. Just that which by the way, installation guide for Linux, so maybe I should actually try that another day. And we also have here the long-standing goal of T2 Linux on iOS, right? Because anyway, speaking about Android and Linux, USBFuzz here, just out, brand new paper from yesterday or so. USBFuzz, a framework for fuzzing USB drives, drivers by device emulation. We had similar stuff already, but a recurring reminder that plugging stuff like USB kill and other stuff we have seen in the past. USB, operating systems written in C, C++, Linux and stuff, you name it. They even have here specifically Linux, but also Windows, I think, and macOS. So they present here USBFuzz, portable, flexible, modular framework of fuzzing USB devices. At its core, USBFuzz uses software-emulated USB devices to provide random device data to drivers, which, yeah, random device data, what could possibly go wrong here with manually open-coded C code of macOS, Windows, or Linux fame. So Linux kernel, dump fuzzing, FreeBSD, macOS, Windows through cross-pollination, speed by Linux inputs, and forces fuzzing of USB webcam driver, discovers a total of 26 new bugs. Also recurring shout out of, do I make this stuff up? No, I don't. Backed by real studies there on memory safety on my main channel, and here this USB stuff. 16 new memory bugs. Also, yeah, decades, right? USB stuff, decades in the development by the best experts in the industry writing C++ code, and that is a result. After 20 years of refinements, bugs and security updates, they still randomly fuzzing stuff, quickly find 16 high security impacts in various Linux subsystems, USB core. So also, yeah, yes, I'm doing Linux, right? For 20 years I'm doing Linux. This T2 stuff here from Octanes to PowerPC, P3, and on my daily driver. And critical, right? Being self-critical. This is the state of open source of decades of the best of the industry, Android security bounties, Google paying people for finding stuff in Android, in that regards probably Linux, but also Windows and macOS. So USB sound, network, also, yeah, the result. Why do I fantasize of my dream of writing a writing a microkernel in a hopefully safer language with less manually open-coded stuff? And yes, certainly microkernel of address space isolation. Many of these bugs are that exploitable because you cannot only exploit your USB driver and USB subsystem, because the whole single address space monolithic kernel. So yeah, but macOS is not that much better. The Mach microkernel only very small shim layer, and most of the BSD tasks running in one huge BSD GNU one Mach task stuff, one address space anyway, because simplicity can't do microkernel, can't do micro server, micro kernel setup there, that it's too difficult for Apple. And yeah, one bug in FreeBSD, 3 in macOS, 2 resulting in unplanned reboot, and 1 freezing the system, and peak bugs, right? Not making this stuff up. Windows 8, Windows 10 resulting in a blue screen of death, and 1 bug in the Linux USB host control driver, and another one in USB camera driver. From the Linux bugs, they have fixed and upstreamed 11 bugs and received 10 CVEs of 2020. Not dreaming, not making this stuff up, not over dramatizing this or whatever. Papers here, USB security risks, but also certainly USB with you have to plug stuff in, but so that to that regard, not the highest level of, also not really what do they have threat model of plugging something in physically, except if you have USB IP, which you could have if you have a networked camera, networked scanner, multifunction printer stuff. You could be more easily exploitable in that case, but certainly this kind of bugs are not only in USB but networking and all the other subsystems. So just as an example, speaking about in 2020, eBay is port scanning you, at least when you are running Windows. Apparently here, port scans visitors computer system. Also, yeah, visit eBay, get a free port scan. Apparently they do this to maybe allegedly checking whether your thing is a bot and remote control, but it's a little bit fishy in my opinion. Apparently they only do this for Windows users. So scanning for remote access tools such as Remote Desktop, VNC, TeamViewer, EMI, Admin, and others. And 14 different ports when visiting website. In my opinion, totally shady business. Although they, of course, as usual, hey, we are doing it for the good and here to help. Everything is perfect. But I think somewhere they commented, not really sure if it was on this side, but regardless of the reason, so Allegedly to eBay, maybe, was it here? Not really sure if this is official statement. Malware protection helps business mitigating the risks. Remote access Trojan. Regardless of the reasons, port scans are still a little bit intrusive. Also, how do they do this, right? WebSocket for the rescue, right? So what could possibly go wrong? Web-based, web Bluetooth, web USB, web sockets, but yeah, local port scan. So you have it. Apparently, is it the official statement? Yes, the official. Reached out eBay for the statement. We're told our customers' privacy and data remains the topmost priority. Certainly, yeah, always. Obviously, guess we have so. Anyway, but they're committed to creating an experience on their site server and server that is safe and secure and trustworthy. Not really sure how this is related to a port scan. Also, it's a little bit, of course, it's certainly very fishy when, have you ever heard of someone getting an eBay alert of, hey, you are 2020, 2020 year of the IT bugs and pandemics, so excuses, central metropolitan noise level here. But yeah, have you ever heard of a user who got a notification, hey, your Windows is likely hacked or something? So much to their best intentions, a little bit fishy in my opinion, but anyway. Hidden daemons here, MailDemon patch analysis. So apparently we had this in the other IT news, this Apple remote exploitable email loading stuff here, and summary, too long didn't read. Apple patched this first, so their first patch, shout out here, the first patch was incomplete apparently. Is it the final or 13.45? So apparently the 13.45, it was a beta patch, but apparently this was insufficient. Apple issued a complete patch utilizing a different approach, fixing this so much to year 2020, fixing this remote. Also here, fine Objective-C write of mutable data, map mutable data something returns false. Anyway, fine Objective-C code in 2020. Although to some degree this code is certainly usually a little bit nicer than C, but anyway, 2020 fixing this takes 2 attempts because writing code is difficult. In similar news, hackers infect multiple game developers, which also here 2020 already, hackers hack game developers. Never before seen Pipemon hits one developer's build system, another's game server. You will see in a second why this is much more important than you would think. But if you, yeah, everyone can be the target, right? If you think you're just a game developer or other application, certainly everyone is a target. No surprise there. So world's most prolific hacking group recently infected several massively multiplayer online game markets, in case you were wondering if this were safe, and push malware tainted apps to one's target users and steal in-game currencies and second victims players stuff. And yeah, in-game currencies in 2020 or since 2018 anyway. Certainly more connected systems, the more they are hacked, the more also, yeah, in-game 2020 already in-game currency is a target. And certainly quite important when you think that some of this digital right management is using kernel drivers, which we also, yeah, here, right, Doom eternal reverse course will remove kernel level, Denuvo anti-cheat there, no monitoring data collection. In my opinion, I want a multi-server microkernel system, but on Windows you get a fine little kernel driver as anti-cheat and DRM stuff. It's like, anyway, can't make this stuff up. It should be totally forbidden. You would think with, yeah, maybe not an easy thing on Mac OS anymore with no kernel extension, but on Windows, this is still a thing. It's hilarious that Microsoft even still allows this, but probably for the DRM mafia, but yeah. And then you have their fine little kernel level anti-cheat thing, what could possibly go wrong, but you have hackers infecting because yeah, totally for the users and stuff until they are hacked and certificate signing fraud and stuff in 2020. Speaking about all the game hacking, after last week's Nintendo leak and previously maybe AMD's GPU hardware description language secrets, original Xbox complete source code leaked online, Windows NT 3.5 kernel with it. I think once upon a time someone told me, I think once like 15 years ago already some Windows code leaked. Was it Windows NT4 or something? Correct me if I'm wrong. Once upon a time I knew someone who had this. As per usual, it's best not to taint me as a professional IT, but there are some gray hackers who like to read all the sources. I certainly would like to read all the sources, also open VR hack right there, but me, if I want to have untainted code, I can't really usually look at this kind of stuff. But yeah, Windows NT 3.5, because Xcode certainly is running that. So also security, right? So Nintendo, all the best of the industry in Nintendo, AMD, do we over dramatize this here of security theater, or is it a real thing? When you see original Xcode, original Xbox, Nintendo, AMD, all the best of the industry, left and right, Power VR, hacks or no hacks, or carried away somewhere. But yeah, 2020, the year of leaks. Yeah, although the stuff is super old in the meantime, OS was released in 1994. But again, if you are doing emulators and homebrew stuff, you can not look at this, and otherwise you taint your knowledge-wise in legal jeopardy there. But nonetheless, always a nice find. I wish I could look at this. Always would be always nice to see what kind of code quality that was. But if you look at this and have some comments, leave them below. Unfortunately, for those legal reasons, can't really look into this. But anyway, speaking about more non-leaked but officially released stuff, Microsoft, yeah, with all the Linux kernel in Windows, the hell is freezing over already. But 2020, Microsoft open sources their GW Basic. They apparently were asked often. I personally, even when I was 10 years old, I've never found Basic too appealing. Unlike the 8-bit guy or something who regularly show Basic on their channel, I always found it rather limiting and slow and uninteresting and cumbersome to type with all the in most Basic dialects line numbers there, and then you rearrange something and need to rearrange all the numbers. It's like, yeah, whatever. So even as a child, never that interested. But if you're into Basics, there you have it. Reopen. But why do they write since reopen sourcing? What? MS-DOS. No, okay. Why do they call this reopen sourcing? Anyway, whatever. So yeah, MS-DOS 1, and now you get Basic under which license, not really sure. So that is 8088 assembly. Also wonder, why do they call this 8088? I would call this 8086, but yeah, if you know why they call this 8088. Funny anecdote, when we were like 14, this neighbor I grew up with and I called Intel Microsoft in the 90s, and we asked for a printed book of instructions and architecture for the 8086, and those ladies and gentlemen there at the Intel headquarter in Germany, Munich maybe, or whatever that was in 1990, whatever, they didn't know what we were talking about, right? So do you want 8088? No, we want 8086, and it's like, yeah, we don't have an 8086. And so, who are we even talking with here, whatever? But yeah, funny stuff is always the help desk people don't even know what kind of processors they had. But yeah, there you have it. Not really sure what is the license. They have some historical contents of all this stuff here. What is the license? Not really visible. We could certainly click on that live. I've not yet done that here. Many comments of does this link go straight to GitHub? So that looks like that. Boot what? Basic segment, whatever. Something probably clicked on the last, what was it called, 86. Also, yeah, they don't 8088, but there it's called 86 because, anyway. There you have it, fine little assembly code, because that's how you would be doing it in the 70s or whenever that was. Do they have a copyright in there of February 83 version here? In case you were wondering how Microsoft was writing stuff there in 70s and 80s. That's basically it, what we had for you today, spreading some news and fun stuff in security and malware. Did already mention a customer of mine. I wanted to mention, certainly not calling names. Today, customer called with by the way, do you remember this and that little detail and what? And it's like, yeah, sure, this, but by the way, why do you even ask? It's like, yeah, we are setting this and this up. So what happened with that? And yeah, we had just some tiny little issues. What are you even talking about? Like, yeah, we had, our stuff was encrypted. What do you mean with our stuff was encrypted? This ransomware stuff. Like, yeah, exactly that. So, but yes, certainly Windows Shop with our Windows software, not calling names, is certainly for so many data and privacy protecting reasons. But yeah, it's a real thing. Not only the police station, the courthouse, the hospital, the university, next block and next door, and that across the country and across the planet. Certainly everyone and even the customers of mine, thankfully they have a pretty good infrastructure and could replay the backup. So basically 2 PCs were affected, and certainly encrypted all the files on the Windows file server shares there as well. But yeah, they had a backup, but even with the backup, you need to be careful, because if you back up only to some other, like a secondary file share, and you have your ransomware stuff encrypting the stuff, then you need to be careful that your server and stuff could similarly be affected, and not that your backup copy also gets encrypted, right? So recurring reminder and pro tips for the real world. Just a second file server is not a full backup, and there's always the thing of like tapes, right? Previous video, still a thing in 2020, or optical spinning disks, or even, God forbid, cloud and whatnot. But with everything except offline tapes or rotating disks, with non-offline storage, like online connected storage, like a RAID is not a backup and a second file server is not a backup, and you need to be careful that your RAID, RAID certainly doesn't protect you from encrypting all your stuff, except if you have snapshots. Read-only snapshots better if as anyone, but otherwise, yeah, secondary remote file server can get the same ransomware encrypted anyway. But last but not least, I wanted to look up 8086 here on Wikipedia, what they write, just for the anecdote of calling Intel and 8086 what you're even freaking talking about. So yeah, 8086, they certainly call it like this. 8088, of course, the cost-reduced version that they produced longer, as far as I remember. Of where do we have this here? 8086 were respectively core, so it made PC compatible. Yeah, certainly know that, but apparently already scrolled over that. Also, who remembers that maybe once upon a time it was called IAPX86, 16-bit microprocessor, introduced in the 70s, and raise your hand if you remember that the stuff is even from the 70s. Also, on the main channel soon I had their instructions for architecture, RISC-V, MIPS, and rendition Verity. What else do we have? Spark. We will do more, so if you're interested in this instruction set architecture, 8086 and ARM coming soon. They're on the main channel. You probably want to share, like, and subscribe for that. And also modern, right? Not this vintage, but modern. You're running today AMD 64 modified chip. So yeah, the 8088. So yeah, 8086 designed early 76, and as I said, 8088 slightly modified with external 8-bit data bus. So yeah, 8086 really existed, but so much to 14-year-old or 16-year-old. My friend was older, so not sure. Maybe he was 17, I was 15, or whatever. 90s, doesn't really matter. So certainly before 18, young school people call Intel, know more about the integrated circuits and the German headquarters stuff, you what 8086 datasheet are you talking about? We only have 8088 for you. And then we were like, yeah, whatever, we don't want this 8088 garbage, we want the real 8086. So I was like, yeah, okay, have a good day, whatever. In retrospect, maybe we should have sent them the 8088 book to us. Or anyway. This rare thing looks actually pretty cool, I have to say. 8086, maybe I should Google for rare stuff like this on eBay also. Purple ceramic dip package with side braced pins. Wow, you had me at purple. Anyway, that's it for today, our random IT news live stream and stuff. Still thinking how to better schedule this. I hope it wasn't too choppy here. I think the memory safety live stream on the main channel was better. And recurring struggling here with our heart of Europe, Berlin here, center of Berlin, 550 Mbit DOCSIS cable stuff, business line, but totally garbage today. And recurring theme, sometimes you can make it better. So today, it's not always the pure DOCSIS cable stuff that's garbage here. Today I already wanted to go home again because it was too garbage, and did speed test. So this is through a VPN, which probably, yeah, that's data center IP, not ours. And so today I improved it. Another last side anecdote. Direct primary YouTube server was too garbage. Secondary YouTube server was a little bit better, but still not good enough. And then I VPN this. Well, VPN is in poor admins, secure shell VPN through the data center, and it was better until now. So I hope the memory, 70% of all problems are memory safety related issue. Live stream on the main channel was nearly 0 drop frames. This one has, even through the VPN, or even through SSH, secure shell data center, only at the end 2000. I think they were mostly in the last third. We probably randomly rambled anecdotes. Anyway, 5.6%, so much to that. Anyway, what, the stream is set to hidden? Ah, darn, that explains the thing why. Thank you for that. I copied so much to that, unlisted. Anyway, then let's make it public. Thanks for that note. That comes to, yeah, I've hidden the other live stream because we rambled so much random anyway. So yeah, then it was a very exclusive stream for those hardcore subscribers. Thank you for that. Hope you learned something. All the others can watch it now in the on-demand video recorded archive thing there. But that is certainly a reminder that you probably want to share, like, and subscribe not to miss any unlisted and private hidden live streams. And I hope you learned something and that you share, like, and subscribe, and to see you soon for our next videos and live streams to come.